All right. Hey, everybody. Hey, Guardians. Welcome. My name is Dylan. I'm going to be your host today. And happy 11-year anniversary to Destiny 1's launch. I wanted to make sure to cover that at the very top because it's kind of mind-melting. 11 years of Destiny. Had no idea we'd be here.
Oh, warte, meine
Today
Facing
we
vergessen.
have
Was geht
a
an da?
ton to talk through, so we're going to rush through this. No,
Ja,
we
da
aren't going
wird's-
to rush. But we have Renegades. We have some really cool stuff to talk about that's going to be coming in December. We have a wonderful update from our development team.
Der
We've been
Renegades
listening,
bin ich
we're
mehr
looking at your
gespannt
feedback,
drauf als
and we
Ashen
actually
Iron,
have
sage ich
some
ganz
plans that are
offen.
coming together right now to address it since Edge of Fate launched. And then we also have, on the second half of the show, we're going to be looking at Ashen Iron. We'll have a bunch of devs on the couch. We're going to talk about the activities, the loot,
Really?
and potentially a new exotic that you might have been asking about. So, without further ado,
Die Axt
Robbie,
muss einfach
how
ein
you doing?
Exo
Welcome
werden.
back to the
Please,
couch.
ich will die
Hey,
Axt
Dylan,
als
it's
Exo.
great to be here.
Hab
And like you were
fast
talking
verpennt.
here in
Ich
the
bin noch
intro,
da.
like, we've got some really big changes.
Eine
coming
Minute
based
vorher,
on
okay?
all
Ich
the
hab's
feedback we're
geschafft.
getting from the Edge of Fate that we'll talk about right after we give a little bit of a first look at Renegades here. And that's why we got our laptops, right? There's a lot to get through, and there's a lot to talk about. So we're just got to Dylan and I are making sure we're going to get through it all. So we've been hard at work on collaborating with our friends at Lucasfilm Games to make something that is like unmistakably Star Wars, but authentically a Destiny story and experience. And so today we get to start pulling back the curtain on that.
And I'm going to embrace my inner Scarrow and ask, Robbie, is there a Vidoc?
Yeah, so you all asked for it. You're going to get it. We're about to play a Vidoc that is our first look at the Lawless Frontier. You're stepping into a world of criminals, shady deals, with an arsenal at your disposal that you'll only be able to find within a black market here that's emerged within Seoul. And so, yeah, let's take our first look at Renegades.
Direkt, First Look at Renegades? Okay. Ich habe noch nichts zu Renegades angeguckt bis jetzt.
Seeing how stunningly Star Wars it felt was electric.
Gut, direkt gekauft, Lichtschwert, ich bin drin.
Squeezing that trigger and feeling that blaster just go off, it was like a whole new world opened up for me.
There's something really special here that we haven't really done in Destiny before.
That ignition, that hiss, that sound.
Oh, it's like that. Okay.
Ooh.
We begin in the shadow of a prophecy that says our end is already written. It's here we draw a line in the sand, where we start the long journey to fight our fate. In Renegades, Guardians infiltrate a criminal underworld to save a friend whose past has caught up with him and disrupt the rise of powerful new enemies. In special collaboration with Lucasfilm Games, we took inspiration from Star Wars to craft a one-of-a-kind Destiny story.
Neue Gegnertypen oder was? Okay, das ist genial.
It brings the fun, guns and glory of a space western to Destiny.
Die hätten
But
können,
Renegades isn't
ja!
just about power. It's
Ich
about
mein,
what you're
alles
willing
gut.
to risk to change the future.
Okay, es braucht nicht viel, um mich zu hypen. Ich bin ein riesen Star Wars-Fan.
The folks at Lucasfilm were such great collaborators. They understood that in order for this to work, we had to find where the Venn diagram of our two stories meet. Themes of underdogs rising up against something much larger than themselves. Themes of hope. Those little places in that Venn diagram were the ones that really helped us find the story that we want to tell together.
If you look at Star Wars and you look at Destiny, you can kind of see that parallel that exists. So for instance, our Dredgen, they're our Sith.
Pretty Sithy.
Yeah, and then you've got the Barren Imperium, and they are very, very Empire-like.
Yes.
They have a huge appetite for expansion.
Haben die auch andere Fähigkeiten? Haben die einfach sich gedacht, yo, ich ziehe einen Star Wars Anzug an. Das wäre jetzt wichtig zu wissen. Denn vom Gameplay her gerade sahen die Gegner gleich aus, bis auf der Läufer, logischerweise.
We get to poke at that a little bit in a way that suits our story and our world, while still feeling very much like the inspiration that we're calling from. Edge of Fate leaves us with a really big pass forward into the future. We know of this prophecy now that tells us that we need to bind the Nine or we face extinction. And Drifter was there on Kepler. He saw all of this.
Ey, Edge of Fate Story kann man sagen, was man will, die war gut. Das Ende war echt gut.
Drifter is convinced that there's a connection between the Nine and the rise of this new faction, the Barren Imperium. He sees them rising at an unnaturally fast rate and is insistent that there's...
Oh, die haben auch Blaster in der Hand. Oh nö.
They're insisting that he needs to stand down.
The cool thing about this criminal underworld is you and Drifter and your crew, you come in at the bottom, and at the top, there's the Barrent Imperium. You need to work with all these crooked criminal
Okay, das
syndicates
ist
in
ein
between,
nices Bild
earning
gewesen.
your power, building up the notoriety, getting the gear that you need to take down that powerful Imperium at the top.
There's a weapon that the Barrent Imperium have made, and we need to be the ones to destroy it. And we're not going to be able to do that unless we work with exactly the kind of people that we normally fight. So we're going to head out to the lawless frontier, and one job at a time, we're going to take down the Imperium.
The lawless frontier is filled with big, chaotic, cooperative activities. You're gonna choose the job, you're gonna choose which renegade abilities you're gonna take into those jobs, and then you're gonna drop into the action with your team, smash up those objectives, get as many riches and treasures as you can, and then get out.
Ich hoffe, das ist kein Echse, damit ich ein Laserschwert und das benutzen kann. Oder das Laserschwert ist kein Echse.
Go to the Lost Frontier hollow map. You'll see Mars, Europa, and Venus with swamps that are very reminiscent of Dagobah. There's some hints of Hoth in Europa, right?
Yeah.
For fans of both Star Wars and Destiny, like Mars, which is some pits that are very reminiscent of Sarlacc pits, and you don't want to fall into them, you'll die.
These are Destiny locations. It's just we're taking inspiration from some of these iconic places in Star Wars.
Let's say we go to Mars, and you're gonna pick a bounty hunting job for the Fallen to take out some Cabal. And then you either matchmake with people online, you take your crew with you, you can play solo. Every time you drop in, you might be in a different location on the map. Your objectives are gonna be a little different each time, and also might be a different time of day, so there's a lot of variety and richness within these activities, because we want them to be highly replayable. Along the way, we're gonna throw a bunch of curveballs. You might run into a missile tower that's trying to take you out from halfway across the map. And you have to like divert and take it out, and you get some extra credits out of that. Defeat your boss, get to the exfil with whatever time you got left. Call your ship in. All hell drops in on your head from the Cabal. Your ship flies in. You hop aboard and you got exfil.
Also das hört sich eigentlich nach Spaß an, wenn ich ehrlich bin.
Over the course of the campaign and deep into the post-game of
Sowas mag
Renegades,
ich.
you're going to be unlocking and earning a bunch of different Renegade abilities.
Funny Mode, oder?
We've got things like airstrikes, Cabal drop pods, vehicles like the Cabal walkers, interceptors, swoop bikes, turrets. We've got 9 abilities, 7 upgrades. There's a ton of stuff that you can bring in and just change how things play.
It's like a
Doch
tech tree of
irgendwas,
options.
eine
It's a
Fähigkeit.
whole tree of options across support,
Eine Waffe, die
defensive,
Münze?
and offensive abilities, so the player's going to have a lot to play with here.
The Lost
Ich
Frontier
muss
isn't just
da rein.
about
Ich
raw power. It's about
ich meine,
influence, shady backroom deals, working for these powerful syndicates and against them at different times, and all of this takes place at the heart of the criminal underworld in Tharsis Outpost.
The
ey.
Vanguard have been preoccupied. They've been off saving the world, and they haven't been looking at Tharsis.
Also bis jetzt finde ich es genial.
It's changed
Mein
a lot
Star Wars
since the
Herz
last
blüht
time
auf.
we were there.
Sowas von.
Now this thriving
Das
black
ist,
market, this
sogar die
criminal
Bar ist
underworld.
drin. Ich, ey.
Tharsis Junction became Tharsis Outpost. If you have an unsavory job that you need done, you can find it at Tharsis Outpost.
Tharsis Outpost feels appropriate for both Star Wars and for us. When we looked at Mos Eisley as inspiration, we knew that we could play in that playground in a really fun way. From the ghosts that you'll see floating around to one Elixni with all 4 of his Elixni arms shaking up drinks. We took that inspiration and we found the Destiny spin on it. Criminal syndicates have moved in.
You're working with the syndicates. You are building your notoriety with them.
The 3 different syndicates that we created, we're going to be dealing with. The Pikers are Elixni. They're kind of like an anarchist biker gang. Unlike other Elixni, they're atheists. They don't worship machines. They follow relics. We've also got the Totality Division, a subsect of the Barrent Imperium. They're run by Scions, and their enforcer Rao is going to be the
Die
leader
sehen
of this
so
group.
gut aus.
And we've got Tharsis Reformation. They are a breakaway group from Maya's Vex. They're starting to think for themselves and figure out what it means to be an individual.
They're starting to do crime. They're,
Wieso hat
you know,
vorher noch
wearing
niemand Vex
clothes.
Crime
angezogen?
and wearing clothes are what all individuals
Das sieht
do.
insane aus.
We need to have new people to fight and new people to root for. And this was our opportunity.
But the heart of the Renegade fantasy is not just surviving the lawless frontier, it's garnering influence and building your power so that you can bend it to your will.
In the end game, you get the best weapons, the best
Diese
armor,
Anzeige,
the
ne?
coolest exclusive cosmetics. You're gonna need to work with the syndicates to increase your notoriety by completing jobs successfully, alone or with a crew, and then doing so you'll unlock our highest risk.
Ich muss sagen, ich hätte schon gern irgendwie neue Gegnertypen gesehen. Aber es war klar, dass das nicht passieren wird. Dass wir einfach gut eingekleidet werden, hat mich überrascht, gebe ich zu.
And you'll also unlock Invasion.
That's right, Invasion is back. But this doesn't work like Gambit. It's opt-in, the invader has some initiative when invasion begins. This is more strategic.
You scan the battlefield and you're like, okay, is this the right time for me to take the shot? And what's the right tool for me to do it? Do I use an airstrike or a vehicle? Do I use a Cabal Walker?
Mit rufst du den?
Double cross. Yeah.
Genial. Warte, du kannst ihn waden und kannst dir einen Läufer holen? Gut, Gambit, du hast mich. Ich bin drin.
Into a criminal underworld. A world of shadows and syndicates, where your light and your choices will cut a path forward. You'll fight dirty, break the rules, and build a hardened crew that can take on any job, standing up to the most ruthless syndicates in the system.
Okay, das Lichtschwert hat mich oft gerade erwischt. Das war nicht schlecht. Also wir können anscheinend auch Kugeln damit ablocken.
There's still a glimmer of hope. Guardians will have to find their own version of balance between loyalty and survival, between power and purpose. Because there's more at play than credits and contracts. Forces are on the move, ones that see you not just as a player, but as a piece on the board.
Okay, das wird nur eine Cinematic sein.
Become the one thing they never saw coming.
Start the engines. Take off as soon
Wait.
as you can.
Sie haben mich gecatcht. Ich bin drin.
All right, welcome back.
Auf jeden Fall.
Sorry, I love Vidocs. I gotta stop looking at chat. Let's get the show on the road. So, pre-orders for the new Renegade Standard Edition start right now. And
Ist
we
egal,
actually
ich
have
habe
some
schon die
added
Special Edition
bonuses.
damals
Even if
gekauft,
you
ja, ich geb's zu.
pre-ordered the, what do we got? Year of Prophecy Edition, we have 2 additional cosmetics that are going live today with the patch.
Manches gucke ich mir immer ohne
The
Discord an.
Starside Introduction Emblem and a
Finde ich
new
persönlich
exotic
einfach
ship,
angenehmer.
which we call the Renegade Leader. You're going to see it on the screen right now, and I'm going to ask a silly question. What are we looking at?
I mean, I think we're kind of looking at something that
So
looks like
einfach face to face zu chillen, weißt du, wie ich meine?
So, I mean, this is one of our homages, right? That's the team had a lot of fun with. So we wanted to build like an iconic ship, Dylan, that kicked off the road to Renegades.
Braucht einen Übersetzer. Ich werde danach nochmal alles zusammenfassen, wenn ich es mir merken kann. Aber bis jetzt kann ich es mir
It's going to be
merken.
flying by when you deploy your Renegade abilities in the Lawless Frontier, and also you're going to be using your ship to go between different areas within the Plaguelands here in the Reclaim activity that's launching today as well.
Awesome. So with pre-orders talked about.
Warte mal, wir haben den
dive into
Sparrow
the
gesehen,
Vidoc.
von dem er geschossen hat, ne?
Where we
Nennen, auch wie
Yeah, so I
heißen die
think it's
ganzen Star
like
Wars.
probably best there's so much like to do a really kind of quick overview.
Das tut weh, dass ich den
of
Namen
what
nicht
we
weiß.
looked at here. So Renegades thrusts you and your crew into the heart of a lawless frontier that's emerged around Mars, Europa, and Venus, all new locations across those places. And you're trying to keep up with Drifter, ultimately, who's chasing startling visions of calamity
Ich dachte mir fast schon, dass es
and
mehr um
rumors of
Drifter
a
geht.
powerful new Cabal faction. that's
Ja,
across the
Renegades
Imperium.
ist das eigentliche
The Imperium
DLC, was sie
themselves
kommen sollte, im
top dog
kompletten Star
in the
Wars
criminal
Stil.
underworld, and Drifter's convinced that the Nine is involved with the Imperium's rapid growth. It wouldn't be the first time the Nine have meddled.
Und ich hoffe, sie setzen das gut. Und was ich gesehen habe, sieht lustig aus bis jetzt, aber es war halt sehr wenig.
So to deal with the Imperium, you're going to take on the role of a renegade. As a guardian, you're going to smuggle, sabotage, bounty hunt your way to the top of the lawless frontier.
Bounty Hunt bin ich gespannt,
that
ob
means
das
you're gonna be
sinnvoll
working with
ist
shady
und ob es Spaß
shady
macht.
syndicates to build your influence
Destiny
within
3
Tharsis.
Wars.
But ultimately, like this is for the right reason. You're being the bad guy to do the right thing because you can't really ignore this prophecy of extinction that showed up at the Edge of Fate. Yeah.
So, I mean, you mentioned Drifter. We have a pretty stellar cast here, and there was a new character that we showed off in there.
Yeah, we showed one of our new characters. That's a new member of your crew who comes from the Praxis Order, actually. And they've been tasked with tracking down reports of dredging activity across the Lawless Frontier. And they've also
haben wir fast schon gedacht, dass du auf unserer Seite bist. Das heißt, die Gegner haben auch Lichtschwerter. Ich hoffe, ich darf mir trotzdem auch ein rotes, gelbes, grünes Lichtschwert holen. Statt nur blau. Und das hat mich ein bisschen gecatcht, dass der eingefroren ist.
Of everything that's happening. We've got a bunch of new villains too, alongside the criminal syndicates and their bosses. And we just don't want to spoil too much right now. We're going to have more on the story closer to launch.
All right. So we've got smuggling, sabotaging, bounty hunting, wearing clothes, doing crime.
It's important.
Let's talk
Ey,
about
das sehe ich nur alte Waffen. Da ist doch einer. Das ist einfach der Himmelsbrenner-Eid, jetzt mit einem roten Laser. Auf die Waffe bin ich gespannt vom Hunter.
In addition to the story missions within the Lawless Frontier. So you'll be kind of climbing the ranks of the criminal underworld here because the syndicates are not going to trust you out the gate. You kind of have to garner influence before they're going to help you out in dealing with the Imperium. And so then at the conclusion of the campaign,
Lichtschwert am Ende reinkommt, wissen wir alle, ich kaufe sie.
chokehold is kind of loosened on Tharsis and the Lawless Frontier. You unintentionally kick off a turf war between the three syndicates, because now they're all vying for power because you kind of toppled the top dog of their power hierarchy.
Yeah.
Die Idee ist eigentlich gut.
Let's talk about this. In December, the Lawless Frontier is coming. It's not just like a concept. It's an activity.
Yeah, and I know we're showing something on screen right now that is when you go through this daily ritual of dealing
Heißt, wir können uns einen aussuchen, dem wir helfen, oder sind wir einfach selbst die dritte davon?
Take down in that moment. But ultimately, the Lawless Frontier is a new activity where you'll be carrying out a variety of those missions, those smuggle, bounty hunt, sabotaging. I think you kind of can tell what they're going to be all about just with the name of them. And this is you just partnering with and against the syndicates. And so it's fast.
Okay, wir können mit den Partnern, aber auch gegen.
A ton of enemies and a variety of objectives within each of these jobs at your fire team in new locations across Mars, Europa, and Venus. This is all about big, chaotic co-op action within the Lawless Frontier. Yeah.
Cool. And then when you're working with the syndicates, like, I expect to be paid when I take on a job. Like, what are they going to be giving us?
Every criminal does.
Bitte kein Glimmer.
Right? You know what I
Bitte
mean?
kein Glimmer.
So, one thing just to talk about at the top, because Tom and I are really excited about this, the creative lead on Renegades. The Cabal have been dropping pods on your head for 8 years now, something like that. And so with one of our Renegade abilities, we kind of get to turn the table on the Cabal and drop one on them. It also supplies you some ammo and stuff. So some nice convenience there.
Okay. Ich bin so oft durch die Bälle aus der Luft gestorben. Das werde ich genießen. Das werde ich so genießen.
More abilities and a bigger suite of upgrades. Also, depending on which syndicate you're pledged to, there will be other bonuses.
Wir dürfen also selbst auswählen, das habe ich im Black
coming into Tharsis as well that you get to take advantage
Das sollte wahrscheinlich ein Bild sein.
So, one thing I want to note too is that all of these Renegade abilities that we're talking about in the Vidoc, they're purely additive to your subclass abilities. The Renegade abilities do not override any of your other Guardian abilities. So, like your super, your melee, your grenade.
Das wird dann so wie im
of these Renegade abilities. We really
Edge of Fate sein mit zum Beispiel der Kugel, wo wir die Dinge aufbauen. Das war richtig scheiße erklärt.
And then I have to give a shout out to James Sy.
Die Bälle, die werden ein bisschen die Eier, ja. Wohin wir werfen mussten, was aufzubauen, um rüberzukommen.
Yeah, I love that blaster, and because my personal joke
doch,
is
oder
it's
die Blitzkugel,
Forerunner
kann man auch nehmen.
It's kind of like a
Oh,
legendary
nicht
version
wieder
of that
sowas.
exotic, and it just feels fucking incredible. Oh, sorry, it feels incredible. Excuse me.
Oh.
So we're gonna have a weapons deep dive close to launch. I know I keep saying that. There's a ton of the Vidoc.
Ist das eine Sniper?
But what we can say about blasters right now is they're new, powerful weapons in your arsenal, and they actually draw ammo straight from your reserves, Dylan. And so the mechanic of this is basically heating up the gun and then venting it out. So no reloading technically, but since you have to charge up heat and you have to think about overheating, it's a whole mechanic and has its own special reload associated with it. And so it's going to be all about finding the rhythm of pace and battle between building up heat and venting it. It's really fun to play around with, and the team is really honing in on something that feels really special and new. It's cool.
All right.
It's cool, yeah.
So
Das
we're
hört
we're
sich
not going to go
interessant an
too
auf
deep
jeden
on
Fall.
campaign because spoilers. We
Yeah.
want to let players discover that.
Yeah.
Aber ich hasse Waffen,
We've
die
talked
sich
about the Lawless
aufladen.
Frontier, but one of the components is invasions.
Oh yeah. So you're going to unlock invasion as part of that turf war we've been talking about, and the syndicates are like reaching out to you, and they're giving you contracts to play Hitman against other Guardian crews. So it's 1 versus 3. It's you versus a Guardian crew on the Lawless Frontier. And like we said in the Vidoc, invasion is 100% opt-in for both the invaders and the defending fireteam crew. But don't worry, because all of the difficulty modes, there's always an option that is available to you if you don't want to engage in invasion. Yeah, we wanted to make sure that, because like even though some people love that PvE chocolate mixing with that PvP peanut butter, we wanted to make sure that if you didn't want to do that, there's always an option for you to do something else within the Lawless Frontier.
And then if you do opt in, though, there's more rewards or incentive, right?
I mean, yeah, you're like asking, you're basically saying, hey, Fireteam, I'm open to having another Guardian come and wreck shop and mess my day up, right? And so you're taking a higher risk, so therefore there's a chance of higher reward depending on how you handle that, right?
Cool. Yeah, I mean, so that
Das hört
covers
sich richtig
gameplay
interessant an.
effectively. We do have a dungeon. We showed a little
Also
tease, but
wirklich
again,
interessant.
no spoilers. We'll let you discover that on
Kein
day
Dungeon
one.
Spoiler, ist toll.
Let's talk about the last thing that players may have seen, or the first thing, honestly. We saw chat blown up. Let's talk about the saber.
Right. So, yeah, this is Destiny's homage, right? It's our love letter to the Star Wars lightsaber. And we're calling it the Praxic Blade. Again, we'll be sharing a whole lot more closer to launch. I'm really sorry. I feel like a parrot right now just saying the same thing. But what I can say is that the Praxic Blade is going to be highly customizable in both gameplay and visuals. And so there's going to be a ton of parts and components that you'll be chasing and discovering throughout the Lawless Frontier, within the turf war, within the dungeon itself. And this is all about kind of making the Praxic Blade your own. And you saw it in the Vidoc, but the blade really does feel truly exotic.
Ich
right
glaube
now.
nicht,
You
dass
do
jedes
things with
anders
it that no
aussehen
other
wird.
weapon can do in Destiny, and I really can't wait to play.
Ich glaube,
get
dass
their
das
hands
wird
on it
nicht
here in
so
games.
customizable
Awesome. Well,
sein, das ist kein Wort.
That's it for Renegades. We have 2 more big subjects to go through today. So thanks for running
Das
us
war
through
schon
that.
für Renegades?
Our next section is going to be all
No.
about quality of life. It's going to be about a lot of the
Das ist
feedback
auch
that we've
wichtig.
been seeing in the live game since Edge of Fate launched. And then after that, we'll be talking about Ash and Iron with another cast of devs to talk about a bunch of cool stuff. So ultimately, we have quite a lot coming over the next few months. We're going to be talking about a bunch of high-level goals, objectives, some of our philosophy. We do not have a roadmap today, but we will have a roadmap in the next few weeks outlining our road to Renegades, which I've been calling it selfishly. So we'll figure out a fancier name for it at some point, but let's dive in. I think the first thing that I want to talk about here, let me get this up. I mean, ultimately, this feels like we're having a mini community summit on stream. But let's talk about rewards. Let's talk about the portal. Let's talk about power. Let's talk about the climb and the feedback that we've been seeing.
Yeah, so to do a little bit more table setting and framing here, like we said at the top of the stream, we've been taking a lot of this feedback to heart, right? We've been listening very intently. We've been looking at our data, and Dylan, we know we need to make some changes, right? And so this is what this whole next section is going to be about. We're going to talk about a ton of stuff. Some of it, a little bit of it is going to come from Nash and Iron, a lot more in Renegades, and then even
Rework hört sich. Da bin ich gespannt, was sie meinen. Wahrscheinlich das.
We want it to be faster. We want it to
Okay,
have
ich hör's mal
improved
zu.
rewards, and we really want it to highlight new and aspirational activities when Renegades launches. And so that means looking at the Renegades campaign and the Renegades jobs and the Lawless Frontier and the activities you do there, and making sure that they both feel like great sources of seasonal power. We know with the Edge of Fate, after you completed the campaign on Kepler, that there's a bunch of cool stuff to do and some rewards to get, but it didn't fit into the seasonal power game, right? It didn't feel like it was a viable path. And so these big chaotic fire team based jobs that we've built and all that variety we're pouring into it is going to be this engine to climb seasonal power. If you're just loving that activity, you're going to be able to spend an enormous amount of time there.
Yeah, and you touched on aspirational content. So when we look at it, you're doing the power climb, but you're looking at the end game, and our raids and dungeons are a part of that.
Yes, they are. So we are making sure here, there's 2 approaches we're taking and a bunch of work that's going to come out of it. So our focus initially here is going to be on the new raid and dungeon content in this conversation. So that is Desert Perpetual, the Epic Raid here in a couple weeks, and then the dungeon releasing with Ash and Iron. And so we want to make sure that those are more dependable sources of power, both from weekly challenges, some of which that are going to happen in Ash and Iron, but then also we're going to be looking at the power drops that come when you're completing encounters and looking to see if we can adjust those and juice them up a little bit. The other big area, because what we're talking about
Geht ihr
was
nicht genau drauf ein?
in-game. You're doing an in-game thing. I should be rewarded for that. So with the launch of the Epic Raid for the Desert Perpetual and Epic Raid and then the dungeon afterwards, we're going to make all drops, the base drops you earn in that content, tier 3. Yeah.
Okay,
and
Base Drop Tier
ultimately
3 im
Destiny's
Raid
like,
hört sich gut
Players
an.
got through some of the power grind, they went into the raid, and they were seeing tier 1, tier 2 drops.
Das
and
ist,
didn't
das
feel like a
Base
big
ist
loop.
richtig
So
gut.
we're making this tier 3 is the baseline, but then you can build up to tier 4 and tier 5 as you add more challenge, add more.
Sehr
difficulty.
schön.
Yeah, and we, sorry, I think we
So
hit
wie
on
es
it, but I
sein
just
soll,
wanna
der
make
Raid ist
sure, we
Endgame.
talked about
Da
a curve
gehört
of
Tier 5
rewards,
rein.
right, around some of the newer content that is coming. This effort, though, is also being applied across the portal itself. And so, Dylan, I know you and I have talked about it a bunch. You know, we talked about solo ops, right? You mentioned Caldera.
Yeah, let's talk about variety in the
Yeah.
portal and more reasons or more ways to play.
Yeah, exactly. And part of that, right, part of that theory right here is just like that thinking is we just have to improve the rewards, right? And so a lot of what we're doing is going to be about bringing the baseline of the reward experience with Renegades up to that, closer to that solo ops experience, and also really incentivize playing in fire teams more because, hey, we know Destiny's feeling lonely right now if all you do is spend time in the mines, right? And so we want to
Eure
do a much,
erste
we know we need to
Aussage
do
war,
a
ja,
much,
lass mal lieber
better,
Solos
job.
nerven.
Yeah, the other,
Just
go ahead,
just to go into that example, like we're talking about Caldera,
Und
it's
jetzt
a
reden Sie
solo op
so.
activity, and players feel it is the most viable path to power. So a
Yeah.
social game like
Ich erinnere mich an
Destiny,
den Trap, jeder
it is
andere
a
auch.
problem where
Wie
you
schnell
feel
ihr
like you should be
zurückgerudert
playing
seid.
alone for all the reason. It's like, hey, sorry friends, you want to play raid, you want to play something else, sorry, I'm going to go into Caldera and play alone.
So, das ist
We want
leider
to address
wirklich
that.
momentan
We
der
wanna make
Fall.
sure Destiny
Geht
is
einfach
social,
viel
fun,
schneller.
fun to play with friends, while still maintaining, hey, as a solo player, you can absolutely hop in, but we aren't going to make you feel worse. So, example there too, we said, hey, we're going to tone down Caldera and solo ops. We're actually reverting that. We had announced it, we're taking it
Ja.
back, and as you said, that's the new benchmark. We're going to raise things up to feel
Okay,
like
Sie
Caldera
sagen
and
es hier
feel
nochmal. Finde ich
rewarding
gut,
like
finde ich
solo
gut.
ops.
Yeah, and we've already talked about that. We're going to do some of that in Ash and Iron. One of the other things we're looking at doing in Ash and Iron right now is taking our bonus engrams and having them just more consistently award power deeper into the climb and adjusting that. We're also, this is a good segue, I think, kind of into our next area where we can talk more about reworks we're going to be doing within the game and some changes we're making. So the other thing we're going to be doing with bonus engrams when Renegades launches is they're going to feed more into a weekly ritual. You know, a thing that you know when it launches, there's a bunch of stuff to do that's going to accelerate you into power climb.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the effectively weekly reset, curated activities from Bungie. So you have a moment each week of, let's hop into raid night, let's do Grandmasters, things like that.
Yeah, so the thing you're speaking to, Dylan, the thing we talk about a lot is like, yeah, clan night, raid night, right? We got to get that feeling of hey, I log in on Tuesday and there's just like a bunch of stuff to look forward to. And so a few ways we're going to do that is one with a new system that we're calling Vanguard orders that comes out in Renegades. So Vanguard orders are actually this like new objective system where you're going to be, and we should have a mock-up on screen right now. It looks like our monitor isn't showing the exact right thing to our post in the studio, so I'm just going to assume it's working. And so within these Vanguard orders, you're going to have all these different objectives that you can do, and you don't have to pick these up like
Ich finde es
right?
viel
These are
besser,
things
wenn
that
das
will be
wirklich alles
automatically granted
weekly
to
ist.
you, when you log into the
100%ig.
portal, and then what's really cool about these is that they pull some of that like Destiny
Und
1
sie geben
bounty
Landstopp
vibe,
perfekt.
where as you complete an order on the
Aber
left-hand
jetzt
side
im
of the
Stand
screen,
ist halt, du
top
gehst
left here,
so
you
oft
will
rein, wie du
actually
willst in
roll
deine
on higher
Solo-Ops
tier orders, like
und
a
kriegst dein
legendary
Power-Level.
order that will get
Weekly
you
noch mal extra oben
rewards,
drauf wäre
or an
genial.
exotic tier order that can give you exotic tier rewards. And so this is all about just creating a bunch more like little moments of variety within the portal and these different little objectives.
Ja, was heißt es zum Beispiel
that you
Exotic
can
Tier
do.
Reward?
We already touched on
Wahrscheinlich plus
bonus
2 plus
engrams
3?
a little bit
Jetzt meine
and how we're
Vermutung?
going to be reworking those
Plus
even
4?
more with Renegades launches to feed into that idea of like, look at all these things in the portal. I know if I go and gobble up all the green engrams, I'm accelerating on my power climb, and that's much easier and clearer for players to understand. But the other place that we've been getting a ton of feedback on, and we're going to be making changes to, is the weekly conquests, basically. So right now, we have the concept of the conquest as a milestone on your seasonal power journey, and it gives you like a massive, like big dump of rewards. We are going to be making those we're going to be making it repeatable, but then there's going to be a weekly reward for them. There's no way for us, honestly, to balance the crazy amount of rewards you get from the milestones, but we're going to make sure we incentivize them and create a
Das heißt, die sind jetzt weekly
version
machbar.
as
And
Das
we
ist
actually have a
gut.
change going live today to make conquests repeatable, but the rewards component is what we need to focus on for a future update.
Yeah, and you know, Dylan, you and I were talking about this a bunch over the last couple of days. Is like we want to get back to that, like we want to get Conquest closer to that GM feeling, that Grandmaster Nightfall feeling of the past, and that's kind of like our little North Star for that.
Yep.
The other big thing too that we've been listening to feedback on, and we're moving really, really fast on right now, is getting weekly legacy raid and dungeon content as like a tunnel from the portal to that. So to set expectations here with Renegades, this is going to first come in the form of, hey, reasons to play this content, to do like weekly challenges and earn powerful rewards from them, right? Again, we want this weekly reset. We want you to clearly know when you log in, here's a bunch of stuff to look forward to play with your friends and others. The reason I have to set expectations, though, is like we hear the feedback about wanting the gear reprised from raids and dungeons. Dylan, if we could just like flip a switch and make that happen, I think we'd be more than happy to do that. But it's just not that simple. There's a bunch of work that goes into actually creating the new gear and the gear tiers, and so we
Ja
are
gut,
going
das
to be looking to
kann
make the
man
reward
nachvollziehen,
experience of
glaube ich.
Legacy and Raid dungeons better as time goes on. Our first focus is making it fit into that weekly reset and into that power climb.
Yeah. And we have our first step today with dungeon layers. In the portal, there are going to be three encounters coming from legacy dungeon content. You can get power bumps from those. You can get portal gear from those, but we hear the feedback on general rewards.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, we're gonna be looking to add more to this, like what this weekly ritual feels like. These are the areas we are targeting initially here for Renegades.
all right. So let's move on to our final two subjects. Really are centered around sandbox.
Yeah.
First of which is going to be build crafting, and then the second is around just our general approach to balance. So we have another list here of honestly,
All
we've been getting a ton
exotic
of
weapons
feedback around
and
featured
armor
gear.
are
We've been
featured
getting
gear.
feedback around like legendary
Oh, ich
weapon
hoffe, das
tiering.
stimmt. Du kannst damit
What else?
wieder jedes Bild spielen, was du spielen
this
willst.
whole space is about expanding build crafting and gear chase. And we hear y'all. Like
Oh,
we
das
hear
wär
that
so
featured gear
genial,
is far
endlich
too
wieder mein
restrictive for
Glas
how
und
you're
Zeichen
playing the
spielen
game
zu
right
dürfen.
now. And so one of the big changes we're making is all exotic weapons and
Oh,
armor
das ist
are going to be
wunderschön.
featured gear starting in
Das hätte von
Renegades.
Anfang an drin sein sollen.
The class items, your prismatic builds, they're back on the
Leuten
table.
zu
You don't have
sagen,
to worry
hey,
about it
dein
anymore. You're not having to think about what
Lieblingsbild
exotic you put
kannst du
on.
nicht
It's
spielen,
all
weil dein
about
Exotic
what
nicht
build you
featured
wanna
ist.
craft, right?
Haha, war
The
nie
other
eine
thing
gute
that we've
Idee.
been listening to a lot when it comes to the gear chase is like, hey, you know, you might earn a tier 1, 2, or 3 weapon, you know, a roll of a weapon you really love, your personal god roll, or the community saying this is a god roll, and you're looking at that and you're like, man, it's cool, but like it's not that top tier, right? And so in Shadow and Order, which is our major update coming after Renegades, you're going to be able to enhance the tier of your legendary weapons all the way from tier 1 to tier 5 with a new
Was?
currency and a new feature that we're building for those.
Was?
Again, this is all about expanding that gear chase.
Yeah. And before we get ahead of ourselves, like as a player, and I'm guessing in chat, people are saying, oh, so I should be keeping my tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 weapons. Where am I going to put these? What's going on with vault
Die
space?
Frage ist, kriege ich noch extra Perks
with
oben drauf?
Renegades, we are going to give you more vault space. That is the thing we're going to be doing. And also the team is working on a pretty big update to improve the sorting and filtering of just using your vault in-game as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll have many more details in the coming weeks and months when we get this roadmap together. But our final note in this section before we go to balance is the portal scoring.
Yes, yeah. So right now with the featured and new gear, there is just an intrinsic bonus that you get for wearing that gear. I guess it's extrinsic because we're asking you to put it on. But anyway, if you have it on, you get a score bonus in the portal, which means you're not only thinking about like activity customization, your build, but also now you have to think about the score too, and like, should I wear this or not in order to chase the high score? And for the vast majority of the experiences in the portal, we think that's just too much complexity right now. And so we are sunsetting that idea. And so again, this is going to drastically open up the space for you to basically use whatever you want in the vast majority of things you play inside the portal when you're
Dankeschön.
chasing gear and doing that power climb. Yeah.
And a North Star for this, when y'all were talking about it, we've had a ton of conversations with the dev team, is like, there's a lot of feeling of I'm playing Destiny the wrong way, and this was contributing to it because I had to think, oh, if I put this armor on, it's wrong. this helps that out and gets you into the fun faster.
Yes,
So.
and then like we do believe and see a space for ways to highlight gear and exotics and things like that. You know, stuff we've done with the Artifact for a while now. We want it to be part of the game because I think, you know, pushing people off of the super hot stuff is really healthy sometimes.
Der Punkt hier oben ist der wichtigste. Der bedeutet, dass du einfach jedes Extra spielen kannst, was du spielen willst. Und nicht mehr hoffen musst, dass es Featured Gear ist und alle jetzt Featured.
Yeah, and then our last section here for quality of life, let's talk about sandbox balance. Y'all have been really taking a lot of the feedback to heart since the announce of quite a few nerfs and some balancing, and you have some new approaches to philosophy when it comes to this.
Yeah, so at the top here, one of the things we're doing is we're upgrading our internal process for kind of how we evaluate our buff and nerf policies and also the timing of which when we go out and do those. And so a big part of that here through Renegade's launch is going to be non-critical balance changes are on pause right now. And so this is partially in reaction to obviously some of the sentiment around some of the changes we're making, but it's giving time for us to make sure that when we do start to do more balance updates a little more frequently again, we communicate honestly. We just need to do a better job about communicating about why we're changing something and some of
Das habt ihr schon 50 Mal gesagt in den letzten 3 Wochen gefühlt. Okay, das ist etwas übertrieben. Aber das hören wir immer wieder, dass ihr mehr uns mitteilen wollt und nie passiert's.
We really want to make sure that we're still making balance changes, or, you know, if we have to.
Problem ist halt, dass alles hier, wenn ich es richtig verstanden habe, kommt erst in Renegades rein. Oder Shadow and Order, das Mini-DLC in Renegades. Das Einzige, was mich ein bisschen stört.
Again, we're putting a pause on nerfs and balance changes for now, but if we really need to change something because it's critical for those upcoming events, we'll make changes.
Yeah. And ultimately, it's like there are some things where you watch somebody go on a Titan and kill a raid boss in 2 punches, like. That's critical. That needs to be toned down or balanced around. But other things, like we actually have a list here of we announced some tuning changes or nerfs that we're going to be reverting. Last week we were talking about Grand Overture and Queenbreaker.
Yeah.
We're reverting the changes there.
Yes.
And then we had some reworks to exotics like Stronghold, Chromatic Fire. We're going to be reverting those. And then as a part of this new initiative where we're looking at our philosophy, reevaluating how we do these things, we'll be looking how we approach it and how we communicate it.
Yes.
So.
Exactly.
Cool.
Das ist schneller zurückgerudert als gedacht.
To end on a high, honestly, like we've been talking about nerfs and all that. Let's talk about buffs.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so we've got some buffs. We've been working with the gameplay team around supers and subclasses that are going to be coming. Some with Ash and Iron here in October, but then also in December with Renegades. And I think you've been talking with them a little more closely actually in the last 24 hours.
Big thank you to Ben Womack, Eric Smith, Sandbox team. A couple notes, like we saw a thread where folks were saying, hey, the original 3 supers that launched with Destiny 11 years ago, happy birthday.
Yeah.
They feel a bit undertuned. And I saw a note where it's like Word of Dawn, Titan Bubble. That needs to be brought up. Golden Gun. I know Warlocks are getting some abilities changes too.
Turrets changes coming very soon.
And grenades and other things too outside of turrets. So we will have a full list over the coming weeks. And honestly, it may build.
Gut, ich mag
we
Turrets
need to get our roadmap together so we know exactly which hot fixes, updates they're going to be rolling out in. But yeah, we'll be as transparent as possible with you. So to really end it and get into the awesome Ash and Iron content, thank you again to everybody that's been giving us feedback. Thank you to everybody that's been playing and diving into all the changes. We know some need work, and we're going to be doing that. We've been listening, and now we're getting through the planning stages, and we're executing on a bunch of changes over the next few updates and beyond Renegades. So, Robbie, thank you for joining us. As we're going into Ash and Iron, we got to get the catch full of new devs. So, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. And yeah, we're listening and we're going to keep responding to the feedback. So thank you all so much. And yeah, let's get some more people on the couch. I've been talking too much.
Yeah, you brought up Vidoc. We have a trailer for Ash and Iron roll.
Let's do it.
Trailer für Ash and Iron? Ich habe mal dazu auch noch keinen Trailer angeguckt. Oh, warte doch. Den kenne ich von Twitter. Hab nichts gesagt. Sorry, mein Fehler. Ich habe mir doch einen angeguckt. Aber ich bin Plaguelands, bin ich so gespannt, ob es wirklich nur dieses eine Event, sage ich mal, ist, was aussieht wie eine Mischung aus 3 Events. Ich meine, das werden wir hoffentlich nach dem Stream herausfinden, wenn die Server nicht allzu lang down sind. Aber wenn ich es richtig gelesen habe, sind sie bis 21 Uhr dann, also theoretisch 3 Stunden nach dem Stream immer noch. 2 Stunden nach dem Stream immer noch. Gut, den Trailer kenne ich doch noch nicht. Das mit Sturm und Drang, da bin ich mit am gespanntesten drauf. Das war nämlich mal eine richtig schöne Kombi. Das müssen wir öfter machen, so einfach uns die gegnerischen Maschinen klauen und benutzen. Und ich hoffe, das ist ein Exo. Wenn das nur ein Relikt ist, bin ich ein bisschen traurig. Ich wünsche mir so, dass das ein Exo ist. Battle X. Bin ich drin.
All right, welcome back. In about 20 minutes, the content from that trailer is going live.
Doch, 20 Minuten, doch 19 Uhr, okay.
We have a bunch of really cool stuff coming with a new activity called Reclaim. We have a new introductory activity that's going to be giving you some insight into the narrative. We also have an exotic mission coming in October. Team's finishing up on that, and we're super excited for the weapon that's associated with that. And we actually have some updates to recurring events like Iron Banner, Arms Week, Festival of the Lost, and more. So without further ado, hello, welcome to our couch, wonderful developers. Some of you have been here before,
Oh, ich
but
hab
Noah,
so Angst.
first on the couch, this is your first
Wenn
time.
das Halloween-Event wieder
super happy to be here.
Yeah, welcome.
dasselbe ist wie jedes Mal, nur
folks
jetzt
to
im
learn
Portal,
more.
flippe ich aus.
Yeah.
Who are you? What do you do? What's your title?
Oder sie machen
my
einfach
name's Noah
kopflose
Pearson.
im
I'm an
Portal
associate
überall
senior
mit
box
rein,
designer here
als
at Bungie.
Halloween-Event.
While my title is like officially
Ich
working
hab
on the armor
Angst.
team, I
Ich
do
mag
work on exotic
Halloween
armor
eigentlich, ich
from
mag
time
die
to time.
Events,
You find me more
eigentlich.
commonly working on the seasonal artifacts, like the one for Heresy, the current one for Season of Reclamation. Both those are mine. But I've also branched out and I've gotten to do a pretty cool exotic weapon in this release as well.
Awesome. Next on the couch, Jerome, welcome back.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Yeah, really quick, let's get a summary. Who are you? What do you do?
I'm Jerome. I'm a narrative lead, so we do the lore, we do the dialogue, we do the cutscenes, and we plan the overall story for Destiny 2.
Awesome. Last but not least, Clayton, welcome
Hey.
back. I believe you were last here for Revenant and Into the Light.
Yep.
Yeah, for folks that may have missed out on those
Ich
streams.
muss kurz
What
Fenster
do you
zumachen.
do?
Yeah, so I'm a design lead here for the activities and events area on Destiny 2, and in the past I've been an activity designer or feature owner for activities like Onslaught or Coil or Seraph Shield. So it's been really fun getting my hands dirty in different types of activities and bringing those experiences to the players.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So as we're diving through some stuff, we already have gameplay rolling. This is our new activity, Reclaim. But Jerome, let's talk about narrative. How are things kicking off?
For sure. Well, Maya Sundaresh, the conductor, has somewhat overextended herself on Kepler during the events of Edge of Fate. And she foolishly tried to meddle in the affairs of the Nine and essentially assassinated 3 of the 9, which is the 3 of Earth.
3 being a single entity, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's going to have huge knock-on effects for the people of Earth in physics and chemistry, and we'll hear a lot more about that in Renegades. But for now, Maya is somewhat depleted, right? And she is starting to lose control over her collective. She's starting to bleed individuals at the edges of her collective, and those are the pants-wearing, poker-playing Vex that you saw.
crime, yeah.
Exactly. And so she needs to reassert control over her collective. And in order to do that, she needs a signal boost to maximize the power of her waning echo of command.
Irgendwas
And the
erinnert
best
mich die Aktivität. Ich weiß
tool
nicht
for
an
that job
was.
is, of course, Golden Age tech. And the best place to find Golden
Das kommt
Age
mir so
tech
bekannt vor.
is in the Vanguard Vault, which is why Ashen Iron begins with a defense of the tower from a smash and grab by Maya's forces, both Vex and conscripted Cabal, which you'll learn more about during the season. But that's going to be a start, but not sufficient for her plans. So she will need a fully functional war set.
Da bin ich schon wieder kein Fan davon, das einsammeln zu müssen wie in letzten Echo.
You can find that, and that's in the Plaguelands, which is where most of Ashen Iron takes place.
Awesome. So
Ich hab
speaking
keine
of
Ahnung,
smash
ist nicht
and grab,
meins.
when players first sign in for Ashen Iron, they're going to
Also
see
bis jetzt bin ich
a note that
überzeugt
they
von
can
dem
launch
Stream.
for the introductory mission. It's not auto-launch.
Was die Renegades angeht.
Select it, jump in
Renegades hört sich
when you're
gut an.
ready, but
Frage
after
ist halt, wie
that,
groß
you'll
die
hop
neue
into Reclaim. Those are
Area
gonna
ist und
be,
alles.
some new activities in Clayton.
Dann
Let's
hast
get
du
a quick
Mars
overview.
gesagt
What
und
are
der
players seeing on
Mars
the screen?
zurück.
Yeah, so Reclaim is our new 3-player activity. comes with 3 different variants. It has players, like Jerome was saying, going into the Plaguelands, stopping Maya's forces.
Ich will immer noch eine neue 6-Mann-Aktivität wie damals Menagerie.
Those areas, those territories. And
Please.
so you notice that there's a lack
Das war
of
so
fallen,
cool.
But we,
Immer noch mein
through
liebster
our,
Modus in
like,
ganz Destiny
ambience,
2 Menagerie.
combatants and our environmental storytelling, you'll know a little bit more about what has happened there, how Maya's come in and pushed them all out. You'll see some of them trying to fight back to get in because they think that's their land, right? And as a player, you're trying to go in there and play in a similar way that you might find like Overthrow, where we took a lot of inspiration from. So
Wovon
you
ich
get to
träume, ja, von Menagerie.
choose how you want to fill that progress bar. Do you want to finish a bunch of encounters that are randomly generated, which adds to a bunch of replayability? You can progress by finding hidden chests or defeating roaming high-value targets. There's collectibles in there as well, all without like a timer, so you and your fire team can strategize and take their time to go through the area. And then once you've
Ich meine, das hört sich ja ganz gut an, aber das ist halt auch einfach wieder wahrscheinlich eine extrem lange Aktivität, wenn du erst Punkte sammeln musst mit Kisten, mit Kills, mit allem.
Yeah, and I was talking to our
Da
gameplay
unten steht
folks
11
before
Minuten.
this launched, and we talked a bit about there's a bit of like,
Hört sich doch nicht so lang an.
here, where you have your main objectives, and then you can
Ich
find
weiß
things
nicht, ob ich
throughout
da.
the area as well.
Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, we have Vivian went ham and gave us these like quite frankly unbalanced buffs that will have a rare chance of spawning, and you get to choose which one. One example is that you will, if you choose it, you'll just be radiant and what's the other? Radiant and amplified. Thank you. Yeah, just the whole time. So yeah, have fun choosing between these crazy buffs and using them to finish the activity.
Awesome.
Er die
when we're
Axt
talking
auf dem
about
Rücken.
collectibles, there's going to be some lore collectibles.
Und ich habe
too,
nirgendwo ein
correct?
Relikt zum
Absolutely.
Aufheben
We're
gesehen.
continuing the pass forward from
Ich will diese Axt.
the previous expansion, and those lore drops
Schmiede war auch
will
genial.
tell
Schmiede
players a
würde ich
lot
auch feiern, wenn es
about
zurückkommt.
What to expect in Renegades, both in the cast and the theme.
Die Aktivität, die wieder
Though
nach
it's
dem.
not explicit, so they'll have to,
Ich
use a little
will sie
detective
erst
work,
spielen,
we
bevor ich
hope,
jetzt irgendwas
but
Dummes
it will
sage.
give a
Sagen wir
lot
es
of
so. Ich
information
will sie erst mal
Got it. So
testen.
these are going to be like the data pads you find.
Yeah,
in-
exactly.
Aber anscheinend rein,
Awesome.
schnell alles machen,
Yeah, so
raus
I mean,
oder wie?
let's talk about weapons. Let's talk about the
Nee,
loot.
nämlich gut.
And Noah, now it's time for the
Okay,
spotlight
okay,
to go on
Waffen,
you.
Waffen.
First
Waffen
up,
bin ich
let's
voll
talk
da.
about the exotic that's going to be in the rewards pass for Ashen
Yeah.
Iron. This is going to be our pulse rifle.
Yeah, so new Mauspad is
Neues
going to be
Impulsgewehr.
our reward pass exotic for this release.
Ach, das,
Obviously with,
ja. Das ist ein
the Age of
Exo?
Fate, we released a rocket frame pulse rifle, mint retrograde, that people have really taken to a liking for. And we kind of took a look at that and we're like, well, what's a cool way to one-up that and like plus one it for an exotic? So you may notice from the gameplay that this rocket pulse doesn't just shoot like the micro
Es schießt
rockets,
nur eine
it
Kugel
shoots
raus.
sticky bombs. And these will stick onto the
Benutzt
environment,
nur
they'll stick
eine
onto
Kugel pro
enemies,
Schuss. Warte, macht's
and
andere
when you
auch?
hold down your special
Ja, ich bin
reload
dumm.
button,
Ich
they'll pop
hab
like
nichts gesagt.
little firecrackers. And it's really fun to just sort of like spray them out across like a group of guys, and then you like turn around, walk away from them, click the button.
Okay, ich bin
have them
ehrlich,
topple behind you, 'cause
Sticky
Guardians
Granaten
don't look at explosions.
So
feier
this
ich.
may say a lot about
Finde ich
me as
gut.
a person, but you can also stick
Aber
these
ob
to
es
your
das
teeth,
exotisch macht, wisst ihr, wie ich
Guess
meine?
you'll have to see.
All right. Okay, so let's talk about the next exotic. This is going to be tied to an exotic mission that's coming out in October, and I
Axt.
can already see you
Axt.
kind of getting excited, like Vivian was excited for the crossbows that we added. Let's talk about the Iron Axe.
Yeah, you kept me waiting, huh? Yeah, so the exotic mission.
Ist eine Waffe?
You know, way back with Rise of
Ja.
Iron, like as a player, I remember like the YouTube videos coming out ahead of it of like
Ey.
YouTubers being like, hey, maybe Bungie's gonna give us
Gekauft.
this axe. It's
Bin
in the
drin.
marketing, and like obviously.
Axt
it
als
didn't come
Waffe,
to pass in that
wunderbar.
release, and,
Wehe,
come
die hat ein
final
Kack-Moveset.
shape, Crows got it, and I much like.
Ich brauche
many people were
diesen
like, "Man,
Überschlag,
I want that
Über-
axe.
When's
Like,
my-
I want
Überkopfschlag,
that
wie in
gear."
Destiny 1 mit der
So
Axt.
when I heard that we were gonna be doing a little return to the Plaguelands, it was like, I'm
Oder
gonna
aber
twist
das
whatever arms
Schwert
necessary
vom
to
Titan, Krone,
finally get the
irgendwas.
thing that I
Weil
know
sie wisst,
I
was ich
want
meine.
and I've seen other people want for ages. So
Nano
yeah,
Assault.
I can confirm that's no relic. That's our new exotic weapon.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think for
Ey, die sieht aber
Vivian,
anders
for
aus wie die auf dem
Rome,
Rücken von dem.
Since this exotic mission, the team is finishing up the touches and really building this experience.
Ja, wir haben eine Welle dabei und machen
Let's
diesen
just give a quick
Überkopfschlag-Dinger
review,
da.
no spoilers or no deep spoilers about what's the premise.
Ja, das ist
as I
genau
mentioned
meins.
earlier,
Ich bin der Gremlin,
my
der
goal
alle
is to expand
wegboxt.
her reach, and the best way to
Bin
do
ich
that
drin,
is
war die
like,
letzte, auf die Waffe.
same way you would with the Wi-Fi in your house. You need expanders, you need routers, right, to boost that
Das
signal.
ist genau
And,
meins. Das
so
ist
she is
genau
gonna
meins. Da
be
bin ich drin.
Looking to get her hands on
Ah!
more set technology, which is why we'll be working with
Sogar mit
Saint 14
Sunspot.
and Anna Bray throughout the season. Saint 14 is sort of our tactical expert, and then Anna as with her association to Rasputin.
Oh nee, hat er nicht gesagt, die Action-Mission kommt erst später im DLC?
Awesome.
Aber ich habe jetzt vorhin nicht richtig hingehört. War ein bisschen von der Axt geflasht. Mann, ich muss auf meine Axt
Yeah,
warten.
October can't come soon enough. So let's come back to day one. I keep checking my watch here. 10 minutes, 11 minutes until launch. We also have a slate of legendary weapons that are going to be coming out. We have some armor sets in the portal that are going to have brand new armor set bonuses, but we also have brand new weapons.
Yeah.
And I know a couple of these things are kind of complementary to exotics.
Yeah. So with Ash and Iron, we as Sandbox were like taking a look at some exotics we wanted to bring up, and we talked about Mida and Sturm getting some updates to bring them up to that modern parity. But like when those weapons came out during year one, they came with their paired weapons, and like during that time, you know, it made sense, you know, like to have two primaries. That was what the game was. So when we were taking a look at like bringing them up to modern Sandbox standards, we were like, well, we should probably hit it for the paired weapons as well too. So we took a look at some of our other special archetypes, and we're like, what could we set up for this? So with this release, we've talked about them, I believe, in the TWID, but we are going to have a rocket frame Drang Unfall. And a new like lightweight Mida macro tool shotgun, and both of them have perk pools that kind of key off of being those paired weapons. So like Mida macro tool has Discord and Trench Barrel, and it was really fun to like run that with.
Das bedeutet, ich könnte jetzt mit meiner Mida Multiwerkzeug in Kombination einfach Mida Shotgun spielen und hätte beide Perks aktiv oder den Perk aktiv.
And it's got the really cool draw animation from Wastelander back during 30th anniversary, so you get that cool like cowboy draw.
Mida Synergy steht hier unten.
It's so fun to run
And
around.
the sidearm is arc, correct?
It is our second
Genial.
arc rocket frame sidearm.
Aber Rocket Frame Sidearm, obwohl fürs PvE eigentlich richtig cool. Rocket Frame Sidearm mit. Ja. Warte, nein. Ja, doch. Final Boss Weapon Reload and Overflows Bonus
Yeah, and
Damage
these are going
Round
to be added
into
through the portal.
Sturm.
Reclaim is going to be living in the portal in the fire team area, and that's where you're going to
Geil, das ist richtig schön. Das finde ich genial. Das passt.
And then a couple other things as well that you'll discover in just a few
Das hätten sie schon vor Jahren machen müssen,
let's move
gefühlt.
on. Our last conversation, or our last topic of the day is going to be around events, our recurring events. And the first thing that kicks off is actually
Das Update
a new
zu
one to
dem, was wir
celebrate
gerade
Reclaim.
sehen,
And,
kommt in
Clay,
9
what are we gonna
Minuten
be doing
live.
today?
Yeah, we're launching with
Also
new
ab 19
territories
Uhr.
for Claim. It's a new standard event that will highlight a new activity.
Heute.
And so we do that with our daily challenges, weekly challenges, or it's for a week, so one weekly challenge, and then it has its own reward track and an event home that you can launch the activity from as well.
Awesome. And then I believe it's next week. We also have Iron Banner coming back.
That's right.
So is that
Ja, das
also
habe ich
gonna have
mitbekommen.
an event home?
Yes, it'll have event home, same slew of things where daily challenges, a weekly challenge. You'll have your reward track. We have a hand cannon coming in there. We have an armor set.
Neues
and your title
Rüstungsset.
and your triumphs.
Yeah, I
Neues.
believe we redacted
Neues.
set bonuses for Iron Banner, but I've heard they're actually kind of quite fun.
Pretty cool. Might want to hold on to it when you get your hands.
Wenn diese Set-Bonuses für Eisenbanner
Awesome.
PvP-Modus
And then
nicht
the
fürs
third event
PvP
that's gonna be
geeignet sind, bin
coming
ich
is
wütend.
Arms Week, Noah. Coming back, the first one was all centered around, let's look at hand cannons. We had the new shotgun style hand cannon.
Yeah.
And then with this one, it's going to be shotguns.
Yeah. We're taking a look at shotguns this time around. So much like during the prior Arms Week, we will also have a cool slate of shotgun mods this time around. My favorite of which, when the designer who was working on them, Taylor Bjorndal, who was on the stream before, when he was starting to work on them, me and him were sort of bouncing ideas back and forth. And I was talking about like old rapid fire frame shotguns when they had like the really fast rate of fire. And I was like, I mean, what if all shotguns shot like that? And he like paused for a minute, and then I got the message, what if they're all just fourth horsemen?
Deutsch,
Oh, Bjorn, you mad
vielleicht
scientist.
wird die
It is
Shotgun aus
really
PvP
entertaining
gut mit den
to
Mods,
take a slug
die
shotgun
wir bekommen.
and have it shoot that
Die
fast.
Doppelschuss-Shotgun, ich hasse
and
sie
we saw a
einfach.
lot of celebration with these volatile mods for hand cannons during that week. So with shotguns, we have the
Das
one
gerade
that's
gezeigt war die
effectively
Schwärmschall-Shotgun, ja, aber es gibt ja auch im normalen PvP normale Shotgun, die Doppelschuss macht. Wenn die gut wird, dann lohnt sich die auch zu behalten. Ich habe sie alle zerlegt. Gebe ich offen zu.
We have a preview of our armor sets. So these are armor ornament sets. Y'all voted
Oh,
on these
damn!
earlier in the year last year, and we had to show them. They look
Great
awesome.
votes.
I cannot wait to have those
so
roses on my
excited for
shoulders.
the Warlock.
But with Festival Lost, we have
Das
some
sind
new activity
richtig
content,
gute
correct?
That's
Anspielungen.
right. The
Das ist mal eine
Headless Ones
richtig
have broken
gute,
out of Haunted Lost Sector jail. Because of that, we have new activities. So we have a new
Halloween-Rüstung. Hat ein bisschen gedauert.
6-player activity called Haunted Altars. And then we have a new PvP activity called Red Rumble. Hocus Focusing is coming back. It's going to be a 2-week-long activity. We have 2 new weapons, your reprise weapon. You'll have your
Sie
reward
machen
track,
was
event room,
anderes?
the whole shebang. I'm very excited. It is very fun to play in this activity.
Awesome.
It's chaos.
Halloween-Event bekommt eine 6er
And then the
Aktivität,
last
das
on our list,
Halloween-Event.
so Jerome,
6
we have
Spieleraktivität
a
und ein
new
PvP-Modus
event
Red
called Call
Rumble.
to Arms that's going to be coming at the end
Wow.
of Ashen Iron. Can you give us a quick overview?
Sure, we're going to be working
Das ist
with
genial.
Devrim K, who has been holding down the EDZ for the better part of a decade without a ghost, right? Doing it all in one life. And he'll be taking some much-deserved R&R in the tower and being our liaison to the foundries. We have to remember that most of the guns that the Guardian fires are designed and produced in the last city. Of course, we know that they're
Yeah.
actually designed and produced here with the Sandbox team.
What do you mean? Cassoid's in-house.
That's right, Mr. Cassoid, right here. So we will be working with Devrim to stress test the latest and greatest in gear from the foundries, and the Guardians that can push their gear the furthest and get the most out of it will reap the greatest reward. So there's a competitive aspect to it as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about this competitive aspect, the Call to Arms is going to be a ton of rewards, legendaries, some cosmetics for anyone to earn, but then we have kind of some cosmetics at the top for our hardcore, so to speak, to really earn. And Clayton, I think you were talking about a helmet?
Yeah, we have a helmet ornament. It is fantastic looking. When you equip it, if you're in that top earner, you will have this like tail of flames coming from you. And much like the trial glows, these flames
Ich bin
signify
schlecht
that
im
you are
Visualisieren, zeig's einfach, bitte.
a top competitor in this.
So when I load into the tower, I'm going to see this guy with a giant fiery
Okay.
mohawk. I'm
Yeah.
going to know, okay, they were top of Call to Arms.
Impressed and scared at the same time.
But then we
Dann
have
werde
some
ich's wohl sehen.
cosmetics, like I said, for just general players too. Like
Wird aber
I
ein bisschen
believe
dauern.
there's an exotic ornament for the pulse rifle on the reward track, and a bunch of other things to earn too. So
We have daily login rewards as well, and we have vouchers
Ja,
that
Destiny
will
hat Daily
actually help
Login.
set you up for the next season.
awesome. Yeah, well, thanks for the quick overview. We will definitely have more information in the tweet about this new event. And as we're going through Ashen Iron, we'll have an update before each of these events to give you a quick a recap of what we've been talking about today. So just to end it up as well, we have a brand new crossbow that's going to be coming in. So our first crossbow was introduced.
Quatschen die ganze, wie bekommen wir den?
And this one is going to be through our events. To start, it's going to be a low drop chance from any of the events that we just covered. And
Wunderschön,
then
ich
in
muss
Call to
kein
Arms,
Rage
you can
spielen.
focus this thing to really hammer on getting those rolls. And Noah, what's the damage type on this?
Yeah, so you might have seen it in the gameplay. It's going to be a stasis crossbow. And obviously, with a stasis weapon comes stasis perks. And I'm very happy to say that it does have chill clip, and it in fact does freeze in 2 shots. And oh my god, there's such like a fun play pattern of like you pop a guy
Chill-Clip
twice
auf
with it, they
dem
freeze, and
Bogen
then if you
hört
have
sich
serrated
gut an. Der
bolts, you run up,
Crossbow hört
and you
sich
pull
spaßig
them out
an.
of him, and the serrated bolts do damage and cause him to pop. So you just like
Chill-Clip
put him in a
Riesenfan.
major, and you cause him to explode and hit all the dudes around him. And it was
Stimmt, das hat
an
immer nur
oddly
eine
fun
Kugel drin.
play pattern of just running around and blasting people that I got quite a few giggles out of in playtests.
I can't
Bin
wait.
ehrlich, dadurch, dass
So
wir die
again, to
ganze Zeit
say
im
it,
Hintergrund die
today
Aktivität
with our,
spielen, die
new
sieht gar nicht
territory
mal
event,
so langweilig
you can
aus.
get this to drop. It will be a low drop chance, but
Ich glaube, die
over
kann
the
man
course of the
vielleicht
rest
ganz
of the
gut
season
nebenbei
with each
spielen.
event, more chances, and then Call to Arms, you can focus it along with other gear and really go hard for the role you want.
And it has a holofoil in.
And a holofoil and Call to Arms as well. So
Ah,
that brings us to the end of our show. So thank you all for joining us on the couch. Thank you all for joining us at home. We hope you enjoyed the Vidoc. The Renegades pre-orders are live now, and as we said at the top of the show, we have some new pre-order incentives that also apply to the Year of Prophecy folks that purchase that edition. A new legendary ship, a new legendary emblem, and then, yeah, in 3 minutes here, we have Ashen Iron launching. So thanks for coming in. Hope you enjoy the rewards. We'll have more details on our quality of life updates over the next few weeks and a roadmap coming soon. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Can't thank you enough.
das heißt, zusammenfassend muss ich sagen, Update sieht sehr gut aus, Renegades. Star Wars liebe ich absolut. Wächst mit Klamotten, brauche ich in jedem Modus, egal wo ich hingehe, ich will Wächst mit Klamotten haben. Perfektes Design. Lichtschwert richtig gespannt drauf. Invasion, der neue Modus, sieht aus wie ein besseres Gambit. Ich bin ehrlich, es sieht wirklich aus wie ein besseres Gambit. Ich hoffe, man kann entscheiden, ob man der Einzelne ist, der einfach PvE spielt oder der Invader ist und nicht sagt, oh, du spielst gerade die ganze PvE, jetzt musst du aber invaden. Ich hoffe, ich kann auswählen, was von beiden ich bin. Und ich wäre wirklich viel lieber der Invader, bin ich ehrlich. Bin ich ein Arsch. Finde ich gut. Raids haben endlich Tier Rewards, zumindest der neue Raid hat, wenn du reingehst, immer Tier 3 als Base Reward, also Base Belohnung. Du kannst mit verschiedenen Challenges, Herausforderungen auf Tier 5 hochgehen. Also Tier 4, Tier 5, je nachdem wie schwer das du dir machst. Ist auch eine richtig schöne Änderung. Was habe ich noch? Genau, Portal haben sie gesagt, dass sie weekly resetten wollen, also die Challenges. Ich hoffe, dass wir dadurch einfach bessere Rewards bekommen und nicht einfach nur Glanzstaub, das wäre ein bisschen langweilig. Im Sinne von, oh hey, neue Woche, wir gehen rein, kriegen direkt mal +2, +3er Gear. Das fände ich richtig gut. Aber wahrscheinlich sind es einfach jede Woche die extra Gramme, die wir unten immer sehen. So tendiere ich zumindest. Was haben wir noch? Was habe ich mir aufgeschrieben? Genau, die Conquests werden wiederholbar sein. Die Frage ist halt, wie gut ist auch da der Loot, haben sie nichts zu gesagt. Das mit dem Featured Gear finde ich immer noch am besten. Du kannst ab jetzt jedes Exo spielen, was du spielen willst. Mal sehen, ob ich es finde. Das ist das Falsche. Das dritte, ne? Da. Jedes Exo und jede Exo-Rüstung, jede Exo-Waffe ist ab jetzt Featured Gear. Ab leider erst Renegades. Aber das ist genial. Du kannst endlich jedes deiner Builds spielen, das du spielen willst. Du musst nicht mehr darauf hoffen, dass, vielleicht ist ja nächste Season mein Exo für mein Lieblingsbild jetzt hat Featured Gear. Nein, alle Exos werden Featured Gear sein. Das macht es so viel mehr Sinn. Die Leute, die einfach ihr Lieblingsbild spielen wollen, durften es nicht spielen. Jetzt dürfen sie es wieder. Finde ich richtig gut. Leider müssen wir noch ein paar Monate darauf warten, aber sobald das aktiv ist, insane. Beste Änderung. Ich würde mir wünschen, dass sie da schon früher reinmachen. Wer weiß, vielleicht machen sie es. Du kannst bald deine Waffen mit speziellen Items hochleveln. Sprich, du hast eine Tier 1 Waffe, kannst sie anscheinend von Tier 1 bis Tier 5 selber hochleveln. Da bin ich sehr gespannt drauf. Vor allem, ob du, wenn du von Tier 1 auf Tier 5 gehst, auch noch die extra Perks dazu bekommst. Schrägstrich, falls ja, welche? Random Perks? Perks, die schon feststehen, weil wenn es Random Perks sind, dann wird es fast schon Sinn machen, du holst dir einen Tier 1er und levelst aus Tier 5 hoch und hoffst, dein Godroll zu bekommen. Außer natürlich, es kommt darauf an, wie selten dieses Material ist, was wir brauchen, um auf Tier hochzugehen, ne? Die haben mir gesagt, du kriegst ein spezielles Material, mit dem du deine Tierwaffen hochmachen kannst. Aber erst mit Shadow and Order. Sprich mit dem Mini-DLC in Renegades. Dauert also noch ein bisschen. Wir kriegen mehr Vault Space. Mein Vault ist durchgehend voll. Wer auch immer ein Tresor hat, der nicht voll ist, Leute, kann ich nicht verstehen. Mein Tresor ist immer voll. Ich hab keine Ahnung, wie Leute es machen, dass der Tresor nicht voll ist. Ich weiß es nicht. Genau, deine gefeaturete Rüstung, die du anhast, soll anscheinend nicht mehr so stark auf dein Fortschritt gehen. Sprich, wenn du nur Featured Gear hast, ist es jetzt so, du bekommst einen Multiplier dafür, dass du Featured Gear hast. Das werden sie auch entweder runterschrauben oder entfernen. Das habe ich nicht ganz im Kopf gerade. Ich glaube, sie haben gesagt, sie werden es runterschrauben, wenn ich richtig im Kopf bin. Entfernen meine ich. Das wäre natürlich auch insane. Zu sagen, ey gut, dann spiele ich halt mal da, wo ich kein Featured Gear anhaben muss, schrägstrich kein neues Gear anhaben muss, einfach mein altes Gear. Muss nichts hochleveln, alles wunderbar. Oder halt nichts neu grinden. Und kriegt denselben Score raus wie du. Fände ich persönlich besser. Anstatt jedes Mal zu sagen, haha, du brauchst Featured Gear, weil gibt mehr Gear-Score. Und damit mehr Punkte, leichteres A, B, C, was auch immer du erreichen willst. Ich glaube, das war alles, was ich mir zu Renegades aufgeschrieben habe, ne? Ja, das letzte, was ich habe, ist halt zu Ashen Iron. Die Axt ist ein Exo. Dass die Axt ein Exo ist, ist das Beste, was sie machen konnten. Ich wollte die Axt nochmal finden. Wo ist die Axt? Da. Die Axt ist ein Exo. Das ist das Wichtigste überhaupt, dass diese Axt ein Exo ist. Ich kann wie ein Gremlin mit der Axt über den Kopf rumschlagen, wie ich will. Plus, ich kann sie anscheinend irgendwie aufladen und einen Wellenschlag machen. Bin mir nicht ganz sicher. Ich müsste mal die Perks durchlesen. Aber das ist einfach genial. Ich liebe diese Axt in Destiny 1. Damals in Plaguelands, und das jetzt ein Exo ist und nicht einfach nur ein Relikt. Ihr werdet mich damit rumrennen sehen, wie mir Kloppe. Ich hau wie ein Gremlin über den Kopf die ganze Zeit und hau meine Axt auf den Dutz. Da bin ich sowas von drin. Das ist das Beste. Ich bin so gespannt drauf. Das Exo, was jetzt reinkommt, ist ja theoretisch, also das Exo aus dem Season Pass in Ashen Iron, was jetzt live sein sollte, ist dann ein Impulsgewehr mit Sticky-Granaten. Ich weiß nicht, ob das für mich als Exo reicht. Muss ich mir noch angucken, das sage ich also mal nichts zu jetzt einfach. Und das letzte, was sie gesagt haben, wo ich richtig gespannt drauf bin, ist das Halloween-Event. Die haben gesagt, das Halloween-Event wird eine 6-Mann-Aktivität haben. Ich hoffe, eine richtig gute. Und Red Rumble, wenn ich gerade richtig im Kopf nicht glaube, es war Red Rumble. Sprich, wir haben eine PvE und eine PvP-Aktivität, um uns neue Waffen zu holen. Schrägstrich einen neuen Bogen, wenn ein Dem-Event drin ist. Und eine richtig nice Rüstung, war, ne? Da haben wir es doch. Also die Rüstung hat mich gecatcht. Bin ich ehrlich mit euch, das ist eine sexy Rüstung. Das ist eine echt schöne Rüstung. Da bin ich gespannt drauf. Aber 6-Mann-Aktivität. Ich hoffe, eine richtig, richtig gute. Es ist mal nicht, hey, geh in Lost Sector und mach die Kopflosen weg. Oder aber, wie ich es erwartet habe, hey, geh mal in ein Portal, wo jetzt vielleicht Kopflose mit drin sind. Oder mach dies, das, jenes im Portal, um Punkte zu bekommen für Halloween. Eine neue Aktivität und neues PvP oder neuer PvP-Modus. Ich bin hoffnungsvoll. Der Stream hat mich sehr, sehr, sehr positiv überrascht. Renegades hört sich für mich als Star Wars-Fan überragend an. Natürlich die Frage, wie groß ist denn jetzt bitte die Map? Das, was Sie gesehen haben, war relativ wenig, aber ich hoffe schon, dass es größer ist als jetzt Edge of Fate. Die Map ist schon echt klein von Edge of Fate, ne? Und das Halloween-Event bin ich wieder am gespanntesten drauf. Aber ich muss auf die Axt noch warten. Ah! Ich will die Axt jetzt! Aber doch, ja, positiv überrascht. Ich glaube, das kann ich am besten so beschreiben.